We all know that Manchester United gets a lot of traction online, and the media know this. Recently, there's been a lot of coverage on Alejandro Garnacho. Despite being one of the best 20-year-olds in Europe right now, the reports are the Argentine is up for sale. The fee is said to be around £50 million, and despite that being far too low, Man United shouldn't sell Garnacho at all in the summer. Today, we're going to dive into why. But first and foremost, a shout out to today's sponsor, LAKEY. Go and check them out. They've got some really good products on offer. But anyway, it is that time. Let's get this party started. So before we dive into the analysis, let's remember Alejandro Garnacho is 20 years old. To expect him to be a complete player now is pretty crazy, but I do think a lot of the issues having on the left-hand side of the pitch are alleviated on the right. So on the left-hand side, at times we see Garnacho dribbling into congested areas and losing the ball with the opposition, grouping up and winning tackles. The other thing that I think from the left-hand side in terms of delivery on that left foot can be a little bit inconsistent and can't find the centre forward or the midfield runners. Or alternatively, when getting shots away, Garnacho can be wasteful on the left side, sometimes shooting when he should be passing or crossing in simple situations just outside the penalty area, or when he's driven and attacked the outside. On the right-hand side, I feel like a lot of these problems are alleviated. Number one, instead of dribbling into those congested areas, because naturally being right-footed on that wing, he's going to go on the outside more. This leads to better situations. Garnacho is far better when crossing on his natural side with the right foot, and can find crosses to the back post, can find cutbacks or low crosses into the penalty area for a centre forward to get on the back of. And finally, on the right hand side of the pitch, he's a better shooter. He gets into better positions before pulling the trigger. That be it either him cutting inside onto his left foot and getting shots on goal, something that's a little bit underrated in his game, or alternatively moving off the ball when the ball is, let's say, on the other side of the pitch, getting into good areas in the penalty area and then providing that finish from those zones. Garnacho is a much better player on the right-hand side than the left, and for me, looks far more natural in so many different ways. So let's break his shots down in the Premier League. Just looking at this, you can see how much more Garnacho shoots on the left-hand side versus the right-hand side of the box. But actually, how much more effective he is as a shooter from the right-hand side with his goals, the green circles. This simply results in more goals on the right-hand side of the box versus the left-hand side of the box. See this example against Leicester City, a snapshot with his right foot that catches the keeper out. What's more is when he does cut inside onto his left foot, it's far more unpredictable as the opposition are expecting him to go onto the right foot. And again, we see this in his offside goal versus Leicester City, receiving him behind, checking inside and finishing superbly with his weaker left foot. When playing as a right winger versus the left, despite Garnacho taking fewer shots, he's scoring more goals. He's also attempting fewer dribbles, but creating more chances and registering more assists. Basically, Garnacho is doing more from less from an attacking perspective on the right wing. One of my favourite parts about working in football is the travel. Whether that's going to watch a new exciting team in an exotic place or watching the not so mighty Man United on a European away day, I absolutely love it. And this is where the sponsor of today's video comes in, LAKEY. These days, everyone is constantly online using the internet, and this is where LAKEY can help you out. When traveling abroad, you can get one of their eSIMs, available in 190 destinations and very, very easy to use, compatible with most phones, and LAKEY offer a refund if it's not compatible with your device. What's more is that you can set up your plan at home, so as soon as you reach your destination, you can get online. If you're struggling, LAKEY have a 24/7 chat service to help you out. Best of all, if you use the code Statman at checkout, you can get 15% off all of LAKEY's data plans, and you'll be supporting the channel. A special thank you for LAKEY for sponsoring this video. Anyway, it's time to dive back into the tactics. And the second reason why Manchester United shouldn't sell Garnacho is he now fits in to Amorim's system. When Amorim joined the club, Garnacho had previously played very much as an inverted winger on the left-hand side, a player that would have to beat his man and then either get a cross or shot into the box, making things happen from the wide areas. Those positions don't really exist for Amorim in the sense of the wing-backs usually take that wider role and the number 10s either sit narrow or move wide when the play is moved on. So for Garnacho, he had to adapt. And given that Manchester United signed Patrick Dorgu in January, a very natural wing-back on the left-hand side, there's kind of one position that he'd have to facilitate, and that is inside. And you've got to give him credit for the adaptation. The likes of Anthony and Marcus Rashford left the football club in January, whereas Garnacho, despite doing some wrong things at the start, worked hard and got himself into the team. In fact, his 17 goal involvements this season have been the best of his career so far. He deserves a lot of credit and maturity for adapting his game to play in Amorim's 3-4-3. So looking at Ruben Amorim's number 10 role, what is required of the player is to receive in between the lines, quickly turn, and then carry at the opposition, often creating from cutbacks or low crosses into the penalty area. This is something that Garnacho has worked on, and on the right-hand side is far more effective at number 10 versus the left. So let's take a look at some examples of Garnacho receiving in between the lines on the half turn and injecting something into United's attack. This first one against Leicester City. Bruno Fernandes punching the ball into his feet. And this first touch is absolutely brilliant. The turn away from pressure, allowing Manchester United to get onto the front foot. Really good play in between the lines, exactly what Amorim requires of a number 10. Moving things to another example, this time against Real Sociedad, Casemiro firing the ball into his feet, onto his right foot. Instantly taking a touch on the half turn and playing forward straight away to allow Diogo Dalot to get a cross into the box. But when we compare that when he plays as a left-sided number 10, sometimes his touches can be a little bit clunky. Taking another example from the Real Sociedad game, this is Garnacho receiving with his back to goal on the left-hand side. As you can see, if he gets turned, United have got a 3-on-3 situation. But unfortunately, the touch is slightly heavy. Garnacho has to go backwards towards Man United and kills the momentum of the attack. Garnacho is far more natural receiving on the right-hand side of the pitch versus the left. And when looking at Garnacho's first touches on the left versus the right, there is a big difference. On the right-hand side, when he receives on his first touch, the next action can always be positive. Always is going to change the tempo in a game. Whereas on the left-hand side, he can take his first touch and then he has to take another touch before making that positive action. Basically, the tempo is quicker when Garnacho plays on the right versus the left. So let's take a look at two examples of underlaps, first on the left-hand side, then the right-hand side, and we can really see the impact of the first action being positive. So on the left-hand side, we see Toby Collier firing the ball in behind the defence for Garnacho. He steps over the ball and stops it with his right foot. If the next action is positive, he could either find Xerxes with a cutback, he'd play a low cross into the box, but because he's not quite got the ball under control, he has to take another touch to get it onto his right side. This has already killed the momentum of the ball, and he has to play it backwards. Whereas, we look on the right-hand side of the pitch, it's completely different. As soon as Diogo Dalot plays in behind the defence, the first touch is a positive action. A cross into the box that's really well defended at the near post. But that difference of being able to play with speed and tempo on the right-hand side of the pitch is a reason why Garnacho long-term should be a right winger. At times, the number 10s need to pull wide and provide the width if the wing-backs can't. When we look at Manchester United's setup, on the left-hand side, there is natural width in Patrick Dorgu, can provide the quality in the final third with dribbling and good delivery. So if Garnacho were to play left number 10, they take up very similar positions. Whereas on the right-hand side, Garnacho is probably the only player in the United squad that can provide constant threat on the right wing. This also provides a much better balance on that side, as Manchester United can build on that right wing through the likes of Diogo Dalot, Bruno Fernandes, and Garnacho being the winger. You got a support player in Diogo Dalot who can either play inside or outside, Bruno Fernandes as the creator, and Garnacho as a real natural winger to get the ball into the box. From those positions, as mentioned previously, it's either getting crosses into the box, looking for cutbacks for Bruno Fernandes to then put the ball in the box, or alternatively, cutting on to his weaker left foot and shooting. Something that he's got quite a high ceiling at. Garnacho is good on his left foot, and I think that aspect gives him a real diversity in the final third. But United's right-hand side looks much better with Bruno Fernandes and Garnacho out there. So we take this goal in the away leg against Real Sociedad in the Europa League to truly highlight this point. We can see Garnacho in a right 10 position just in the centre circle. As United switch the play and Diogo Dalot makes that move to get on the ball, Garnacho starts to pull wide. This is so important because we can see right now with Diogo Dalot in this support position and Garnacho in a natural wing position, it gives United great variance in their attack. Not only does Diogo Dalot carry really well through the centre of the pitch, but Garnacho is in a traditional winger position, which allows the two centre forwards to think about goal scoring versus creating. Garnacho drives inside, pushing the defence into their penalty area before cutting the ball back. And as I mentioned before, Rasmus Højlund's cleared the defence, allowing Joshua Zirkzee to do a trademark move and arrive late, as he did time and time again at Bologna, and put the ball in the back of the net. But this all comes from the balance on the right-hand side. Garnacho starting at number 10, but then moving wide to be the real threat in the final third. Despite receiving less passes and playing fewer, Garnacho is playing more through balls and more accurate crosses, and thus has a higher expected assists. He can truly fit in Ruben Amorim's system, which is a big reason why Man United shouldn't sell him in the summer. It has taken hard work and adaptation to get the Argentine up to speed in Amorim's 3-4-3. And finally, Garnacho has shown himself to be a very diligent defender on the right wing, something that is a big aspect for modern day attackers. In terms of Ruben Amorim, he wants his defensive structure to block off the centre of the pitch and force the opposition to play wide and then press against the touchline. Obviously, if the ball is played into that central area, he wants his central players to go man to man and aggressively try and win the ball back. And here's where Garnacho on the right-hand side versus the left is an advantage. Naturally, when the ball is played to the touchline, he's going to be defending with his stronger right foot. This will give him an advantage in tackles and in duels, but also the ability to win the ball back and quickly transition into the attack. Being a natural winger will give United massive advantages in the transition. But looking at his defensive numbers, Alejandro Garnacho wins more defensive duels when he's played on the right wing versus the left. What's more is that Garnacho reads the play relatively well, and he's got the speed to cover distance quickly to intercept passes, something that we saw in Diogo Dalot's late goal against Real Sociedad. In fact, against Real Sociedad, Garnacho's 90th minute interception led to Diogo Dalot's goal. So to conclude, Manchester United shouldn't be selling Alejandro Garnacho. Not only is Garnacho one of the hottest attacking prospects in Europe, with only Lamine Yamal and Desiree Doué with more goal involvement as wingers aged 20 or under in Europe, but he's a homegrown talent that's shown resilience and ability to adapt whilst retaining his most dangerous attacking qualities. And Bruno Fernandes' third goal against Real Sociedad really encapsulates everything I'm saying about Alejandro Garnacho being very dangerous on the right wing. So United have just turned the ball over, they're in the transition, they're on the counter-attack. The ball is played forward by Diogo Dalot. What I love about Garnacho on the right wing is he's very natural when receiving. We can see that here. He's fixated on the ball already, it knows where it's coming. In fact, he steps over the ball, which allows his first touch to be really positive, and it kills the defender's momentum. It stops him dead, but Garnacho then drives inside, which opens up the space on the overlap for Bruno Fernandes. Not only that, but the ball is staying on the right-hand side of Garnacho's body, which allows him to play quickly on his right foot the through ball in behind the defence for Bruno to fire home. If he's on the left hand side, there is an extra 1 or 2 touches which potentially close that window down for the through ball. Garnacho devastating on the right wing, far more comfortable, far more natural, and more of a threat in my personal opinion. His quality on the right wing is apparent. It's where he should continue under Ruben Amorim. And when Amad Diallo returns from injury at right wing back, United will have one of the most dangerous right wings in the Premier League. But anyway, guys, what do you think? Should Manchester United sell Alejandro Garnacho in the summer? Of course, check out Saley, the sponsor of today's video. I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel?